Technology is moving faster than ever, shaping how we live, work, and connect. But with every breakthrough, we face a pressing question: who actually gets to benefit from it? Accessibility, inclusivity, and sustainability are no longer nice to haves. They are essential if you want a digital future that works for everyone. Today, we dive into how emerging technologies like AI, Web3, Metaverse, and Co. can widen the gap or help bridge it. And we'll explore what it really takes to design innovation that leaves no one behind. So, a wonderful, warm welcome to today and tomorrow. And before we start with our wonderful guest today, as always, a warm welcome to Dieter. Hi, Dieter.
Well, thank you, Alex. And I'm really happy to have Eve here, who is the laureate of this year's Holistic World Innovation Trophy. And we just freshly announced it. And so we are very happy. And this is not the only premiere, not only the premiere of the laureate, we also will have for the first time our own website. And we secured a great domain, thetrophy.com. So in the future, this will be, of course, the short form of the Holistic World Innovation Trophy that in the whole will remain, of course, it's a long title, but in short, we will refer to as the trophy. And yes, this time the laureate is covering the wide world of artificial intelligence. And it's shaking up everything in our society currently. A lot of harm can be done with it, but also a lot of good things. And we are very happy to have our laureates this year to shape the future of a positive AI. And Eve, we are really happy to hear your vision today.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor, and I think my team and I are super proud to be the laureates of the trophy, the Innovation Trophy Award. And thank you for having me here today.
Eve, would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers? Who are you and what brings you here today? We heard a little bit about it, but now we want to dive deeper.
Okay, sure. So my name is Eve Logunova-Parker. I am founder and CEO of Evenness. Eve is not the root of Evenness, if anyone is asking. Oh, that's a nice play. Evenness stands for the equality, for the balance in species and in mathematical numbers. So what we are trying to achieve with developing products at Evenness is to make internet more accessible and health-centered by design for everyone out there. We're talking about people with chronic health conditions. We're talking about people who, for example, love skiing, go to ski, break an arm, and then, oops, I have to work, but I can't operate that mouse. My arm is broken. Or we're talking about aging population. Maybe today we're super healthy, but tomorrow with age starting kind of going at the faster speed, something happens. Low vision, we need glasses. Poor hearing, we need some adjustments. Maybe motor navigation. Internet, unfortunately, the interfaces of our websites are not accessible by design. I give you a number. 96% of world websites are not custom to unique health profiles or even generic health profiles. You cannot easily navigate with voice, eyes, gestures in the conditions of, various conditions. You cannot easily understand information. It's complete overload. So it's heavy on your cognitive state. What we are trying to achieve is develop a solution that is agentic AI at its core, making it intuitive to redesign every interface in accordance to the user's specific needs. And we think only then we can achieve digital freedoms for everyone.
What brought you to the idea? What was the core idea behind Evenness? How did it start? I don't think you woke up and said, well, let's found a company called Evenness and let's make it about accessibility. I don't think that. So how did you come up with it? What are the challenges you saw?
We go back to the times of COVID, the pandemic. I think a lot of innovation and innovative solutions came out of that. In my case, I became a consultant right before the pandemic hit. And I was working with different businesses, including Fortune 500, small startups. And then out of the blue, with the push of everyone to stay home and businesses to fall in love in order to sell the product, I started receiving a lot of requests, similar ones. If we expected, when being one, we expected everyone coming to our platform and shopping and being happy, but we see the opposite trend. People are just like coming and jumping off board. What is it? Is it a front end or back end in technical terms? Turn out it's accessibility issue because people's health profile defines how they will engage your website, how they find what they're searching for. And if it's complicated, compare it to the Google search. If your company is not appearing on the first page, somewhere there, people just go. They search for the first two pages. Same here. They can't figure it out, they go. So that gave me an idea of understanding accessibility as it has to be at the core of your product, of your digital presence, instead of being an add-on. The last kind of tweak, oh my goodness, we missed the opportunity to be compliant and now we're getting a fine. We need to tweak it fast. No, you need to prioritize it in order to boost that brand awareness, love for your company, and presence across different channels in a very easy way. Plus, it comes down to being adhering to compliance. If your website is personalized for the health needs of your users, you most probably meeting all of the compliance requirements. European Accessibility Act, Americans with Disability Act, Accessibility for Ontarians, there are many of them. So therefore, it came as a normal thing in the thinking process, understanding not only the need and impact for the end users, but also the business model, because once you start helping those 96% of inaccessible websites, making them accessible and their brands being loved, no question there. It's a sustainable model forward, because that's what we're trying to achieve, at least at Evenness.
Well, but what I'm seeing at this point is, especially this Accessibility Act, digitalization and cruising the web could have used to be very easy, but it has become very complicated, also because of regulation and over-regulation. It would be a lot easier, of course, to do this barrier-free access on the people that are that do need it. There already are a lot of tools that you can do it, but no, now the platform providers need to provide these tools, and it's just, especially here in Europe, I don't know how it is in the US, but this is overregulation good for you because it makes the demand bigger for your accessibility solutions. But how do you see the situation, and what would be your advice?
I would give an advice to every business, starting from small, going into large enterprises, multi-continental, multicultural businesses present in different markets, to understand the compliance. Right now, there's not too many tools online that gives you the power of being guided through compliance without you yourself kind of studying what compliance is about. But it's a crucial step, because once you understand the size of your buttons, the spaces between text lines, the flexibility of responsive interfaces, and there are many more criteria, many more. And once you understand how it should be reflected on your interface in the design of your website, then it makes it easier, not only for regulators to check and say you're compliant, but for the end users who are blind, maybe partially blind. You have central vision loss, peripheral vision loss. You have so many variations or diversifications in the portfolio of visual, but then you have cognitive, auditory, motor, speech, sensory, and every condition is unique. The features can be applicable here and there because maybe it's a combination of conditions like low vision plus arthritis. So there's something that comes for both, but then if you have Also, cognitive focus disorder, you need to have a bigger font in order to focus. So there's so many different things. But now, going back to regulation, European Accessibility Act is what the world was waiting for, honestly. Right? You have web content accessibility guidelines as the foundation. Then you have all the regional tweaks as compliances in the region. You have, as I mentioned, Americans with Disability Act, the Equality Act 2020, and the Equality Act in the UK, and so on and so forth. So there are different adjustments to what it means for that region. In Europe, though, they made it, first of all, as strict as GDPR, and that means you don't meet it, bye-bye from our market, pay high fines up to even 1 million euro, and surprise to everyone, first time in history, litigation is introduced. So users who are having health conditions can take your company to court and win the battle. The first wave of cases is happening right now, and it's in France. You will see all the big retailers, Auchan, some other companies, like they are challenged with the number of cases against them because their websites are not compliant. So I would say it's needed. Compliance needs to be there to push companies because otherwise they won't do it. For the company's mentality, they need to rethink their approach. It's not only about people with so-called disabilities, because then a lot of business start, but it's not my target audience. And mind you, it's $13 trillion purchasing power if you enable people with disabilities and their families via your platform. But okay, let's keep just disability profile. It's everyone else out there. 71% of the population has some kind of condition applicable to this. And the rest, every one of us, is aging. Hopefully we'll get there when we have to work in the office at 75, 80 years old because the standards are changing. But imagine yourself sitting in the office when you're 75, trying to work on that Excel or research development. Oh my goodness, the current state of internet does not support that at all.
And you already talked about regulation and the change of the internet, the accessibility, the demographic change. But now I would like to talk a little bit about the solution. So, where do you see the biggest opportunities at the intersection of AI or other emerging technologies like Metaverse, Web3, whatever you want, with inclusive design? How can technology help solve this problem you just described?
There are two sides of this coin, for the end users and for the businesses. Businesses have to make their platforms in order to meet compliance. That's their first thinking. And then also to make it easy for the users. So they're looking at the check boxes from compliance standards to make sure their website is configured in accordance to those. End users just need to learn, work, connect, create in the way they can. So this is first differentiator between those two accessibility sides. Many competitors of ours or businesses in the market, it's such an overpopulated market, to be honest, with all the small apps. This is app for the blind. This is app for the deaf. This is app for people with cognitive, maybe well-being, mental. So it becomes like this ocean of things to select from. And imagine if you have ADHD or autism or some other condition, to select that will be torture. So there is no accessibility as a service packaged as one that makes sense for both sides. That's what Evenness is trying to achieve. We are looking at end users as much as the companies, helping to change the websites, mobile apps, and even virtual experiences, or headsets, glasses, and so on. On the other side, we're bringing community of allies. So ally A11Y is a term for people with chronic health conditions, disabilities, and accessibility domain. By doing so, we give them the power to tell our system what their profile is about. Without us collecting their data, it's only for figuring out what is the set of features that is applicable to them. We make it in a very strict GDPR compliant way, so there's no data in possession unless you need to restart your system, like change your password and get an update on something. The rest, we just care about the experience people have. So once you select the profile, all the features are applied automatically to any website you open in your browser. And I think this is the differentiator where you don't have to code, where you don't have to overthink, figure out, just make it straightforward as possible with a click of a button, word that you say, or a gesture that you show, and then it changes in accordance to what you want. There is kind of a learning from the past years where a lot of companies created those widgets. You have this human in the corner of the website, you click on it, you adjust something. Now, all those providers are being sued because regulators ask you to have your changes in your native code. So it cannot be an overlay. So there are companies with 1 million, 2 million fines because they overpromised and didn't deliver. So my key thing for businesses, make sure it's in your native code. Evenness is achieving that. We are building the systems for compliance with 4 clicks of a button going directly into your native code. But for those who don't have our system yet, because we're still not in the market, make sure whatever you think through your checklist, you use the checklist for compliance standards, and you make sure it's in the code of your platform, not as an overlay with this little accessibility icon. And besides, those accessibility icons, are they very health-centric? It just enlarge the font and make spaces and make it quiet so sensory issues do not arise, but it's not unique. People are different. We should treat them as such. It should be human first, health first, and inclusive by design.
You already talked about implementation in organizations. Could you share an example how Evenness work has already had a tangible impact on people's lives or organizational life? Do you have an example you could share or are willing to share?
Give an example from, let's say, our team members and the people on the families and the close connections. So what we've seen so far, first of all, our team is something like 80% of unique health profiles, / different genders, backgrounds, countries of origin, cultures, skin colors, name it. We embrace in diversity in the pure sense, because if you are designing AI with one person profile, it will never work for anyone. It will discriminate, it will be biased. So our team is fully comprising fully of different personalities and age group as well, to build for ourselves first, then help, and also our loved ones, because we're helping them. And what we've seen in a few pilot examples and tests, that, for example, there was a boy we worked with. He has an autism profile, very unique one. He thinks he's a fish. He can't study at school because school is not an ocean. So it's very hard for him to relate to anything. He's just like trapped as a prisoner in a cell. Now, by designing an interface that he can understand, we use Metaverse at that moment because we use different platforms and tools. We thought he likes to play games with fishes and oceans, so why don't we give him a choice and see how he goes about it? He had different screens, interface screens to choose from. Ocean, mountains, city landscapes. Of course, he chose ocean. And then different avatars. Bears, people, humans, fish. He chose a fish. So then he was swimming in that environment, being so happy. And on the different reefs and caves and underneath the water, we placed the material from school. We didn't touch that. He learned with 250% increase on his learning curve because he could finally relate. So all these little tweaks, understanding the end user, the way they think, the way they can connect, actually changes for the greater good. And we have also profiles of people with ADHD and cognitive challenges who cannot understand too much text and information, become complex. What you do in this case? You remove all the clutter by making it very simplified menu layouts, comprise the text as a content summary, or have the translations per paragraphs, or abbreviation decoders, or dictionary. So this all what we offer for this particular cognitive profile, where they can finally relate and understand what these words mean. Because otherwise it's a abracadabra, jababra, whatever. What is this? So these examples inspire me every day to see how my team celebrates because they finally can also have value for themselves, and then their sons, daughters, mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers. Like in my family, my mom has arthritis, my grandma has dementia, my late grandfather had glaucoma, and these are the cases that you experience when you're older in life, but sometimes even young people have that. And to support them to connect with me, I'm abroad, they're in the other country. I need to make that interface easier for them. And also, if we're not talking about it, because we never consider those people with diabetes, it's a ticking bomb. It's a lifestyle. It's not a disease. They call it as a chronic disease, disability condition. It's not. It's a lifestyle. You just do things differently. But your health can decline if you don't do the things right for yourselves. And then it becomes a lot of digital problems for even them, not realizing that diabetics is like number 2, 3 condition in the world, right? After heart disease and cancer. So that's how I think and I see the world needs to be redesigned to make it more health-centric in personalization of our experiences.
So, what is the schedule of the rollout? How fast will your service be available to a wider usership?
Great question. For the soft launch with the close connections and companies in our list and people on our list, we're launching by the end of the year. We are not positioning it as everyone here tried, but all my network, all my people's networks, they will get a chance to be first as early adopters to try and benefit from it. For the rest, it will be probably a wait list. Not probably, mostly a wait list till January 2026. Then we go into the massive launch, rolling out the stable solution that is already tested, and hopefully with a lot of happy users who will say, oh my, that helped me. So I can share this, make it as a gift, share this joy with others. Here's a link for you. So that's how we see the go-to-market landscape. We don't want to jump on board with having cybersecurity vulnerabilities or biased data sets, or we're cleaning, building, quality assuring, penetration testing, everything at this stage to make sure once we launch, we minimize the risk for our end users and maximize the value for them.
Well, I hope you will make the beta phase available for friends of our reward.
Of course, I would talk to you, Dieter, after the call, and we'll set up a list of everyone who needs access to our solution.
If we talked a lot about Evenness and about your mission, about the way you work and how proud you are of your team. But now I would like to talk a little bit about you. If you had to sum up your personal mission in one sentence, what would it be?
I was 35 when I finally understood what my mission was, is to apply every advanced technology for the greater good of people without compromising their stability, success, and well-being. In other words, it would be, don't stop on what we have, continue innovating, continue exploring, but be very selective on what you want to use, because you need to test before putting into production. Right now, we have so many AI businesses and everyone's jumping on board. And then, oops, my data leaked somewhere. Oops, I'm having these phishing mails. My members having phishing mails from my name. What happened, right? Because we don't know what we are subscribing to. And this, like, the choice of good tech for the greater good of people is so super important right now, because with all the AI fakes and all the tweaks, it's such a high risk. And if you heard about Sweden introducing this anti-deepfake law in terms of you correct your face and your voice, super smart. Now I want to see how it goes into the production. But I would say we already shared our faces on the pictures, so that's the whole turning point. But voice, just as an advice to people, do not share it. As much, still keep it safe, because that's the only thing separating you from being cloned completely. And that's your greatest asset.
But you were talking about technology, about the possibilities, what excites you, but also the risks. But to ask you a personal question, which technology or development excites you personally the most right now? From all we talked about metaverse, we talked a little bit about Web3, we talked about AI. What excites you?
What do we do at Evenness that excites me the most? Because we are, like, personally, me, as a consultant, as a corporate employee, as an entrepreneur, I've been always in advanced tech. I started when 3G networking was like a big thing with fiber optics back in the day. Then I went with data centers and cloud computing and payment screens for autonomous driving cars and launching IBM Watson in emerging markets and testing IoT and AI, data, name it, metaverse. So that is all needed. It takes 4 years usually to educate the users, and then you see the technology being implemented. But what we didn't realize, and what Evenness is trying to achieve, is you have the legacy systems that's still there, and you have innovation going at accelerated pace. Who is bridging those two worlds? Because the bridge happens at the user point and other touch points where we don't have those bridges in place usually. So in order to support the businesses accelerating and innovating, the legacy systems need to be adjusted and changed with the interface, with the backend, with the front end, and so on. So for me, that bridge between the past and future is highly important. It excites me the most because no one dared yet properly to fix that.
So you're in the right podcasts. We're called Today and Tomorrow. So
Yes, right.
And so to say what it excites me the most, Alex, you don't know that but the most definitely is to dealing with people like Eve who have such a clear vision, and this is the core of my entire work, and I think of our work, Alex, and so we are not moving people forward, but we are part of moving people forward, and that's something I'm really proud of.
and you should be,
And
to
you
be
should.
honest.
Yeah, exactly. And you should.
So if because we haven't talked about it, you received multiple recognitions, and I need to open another page to read them. For example, you got top 100 women to know in America, top 100 women of the future, top 10 powerhouse female ecosystem builders of Amsterdam, top 11 AI leaders from Amsterdam to follow, and now you got the trophy. So you got a lot. And what do those mean for you personally to get recognized as a leader, as a forethinker, as a visionary? What does this make with you?
I'm not for the awards because of, hey, it's fame, it's gonna make me an influencer, and I'm gonna make a lot of money off that. It's good to be recognized. You know why? Because that is the moment when you celebrate with your team, with people around you, the joy of making a difference, creating that impact. You're celebrating the success that, again, on my mission for the greater good of people. And if what I've done and what I've achieved makes a difference and resonates with others, that is the truest joy. I don't need to have some kind of Stella Oscar to say, yeah, now I know I achieved something. No, I'm achieving it every day. It's hard to be an entrepreneur. Those who are thinking, oh, I'm going to become a founder and it's easy, I just say my idea and that. No, unfortunately. Talk to me before you make that decision. I'll tell you what to expect. But never stop daring, caring, and moving forward, whatever the challenge. That needs to be very clear. It's not easy, but once you get that word, it's because not of you only, but because of people around you. The giants on which shoulders or whose shoulders you were standing, and the warriors, ninjas around you who've been doing it with you.
Wonderful way to look at it. And you said it's about moving forward, and I want to move forward with you, looking ahead to 2030. What 3 things must be in place for the digital world to be inclusive and sustainable? So what do you think in 5 years or 10 years, whatever you like? What should change? What should be a must-have? What did Evenness accomplish till then? Or the world, or the internet, whatever you want. How does the world have to look like?
Wonderful innovators and creators and builders in this world right now. But all of us, unfortunately, are limited by the decisions done on top of the iceberg, leaders by the countries. So I would say, in order to move forward, we need to figure out how we voice ourselves up, how we stand up to speak for inclusion, speak for diversity, speak for equity, equality, human rights, health personalization, or whatever is there that is so important. And we seeing it as a sand just going through our fingers right now. How can we grab that sand? How we make out of this sand some sculpture and make it like, people from Aztec and Maya, they would use sand, and then their sculptures and structures would stand for centuries and decades on top of centuries. I'm pretty scared that if we don't fix that, with 2030 is not looking promising for sustainability and anything else. But not to be very pessimistic, saying that we always have a chance to fill out the cup that is half full, half empty, that empty part, with some solutions that we should find together collaboratively as a community of dedicated visionaries and people driving the change forward. We've been through that during history. And only once we stood up and voiced ourselves up, we could achieve, stood together, we could achieve some change. So this is without giving too direct focus areas. I think everyone will understand what I mean. It's hopefully we still have the planet. Like if you look at the United Nations report, they were saying that by 2100, the planet will be super hot. You can't live in Spain. You can live in Portugal. South of Europe will be completely burnt because of climate conditions. Then a few years back, they changed the number, and it's like 2030, 2040. Now, what we're doing this year will affect the number again. And we feel it. Like here in the States and Europe, it becomes hot, and after that comes ice age. So once it's hot, it doesn't mean it's going to be hot all the time. It flips the coin oppositely. So no scientific talk, nothing, but I think it's the power of people. And if we want to keep the world sustainable, first we need to look at our decisions. Do you really need that plastic bag in the shop? Do you, like in the States, they give you the freedom of plastic, whatever. So people I see taking like 5 bags to put 1 can. Do you really need that? Do you need to collect digital clutter on your computer because it affects the data centers and the servers, creating more heat that will ruin the planet? Think twice, digitally and physically. And only that, I think, can at least prolong our journey towards survival. A lot of thinking here. We've been challenging the status quo quite often, but I would say also find a moment not to overthink and keep your joy. because we can all become super anxiety, panicky, stressy in this moment of times, and that doesn't help anyone.
Well, there's absolutely a lot of great projects out there. When I was researching my book, I'm currently writing and finishing, I was really diving into the whole number of projects, and everything is outstanding, like Eve's. And so we could make a big progress, really. Only we need to do it, and I think that is a challenge at the moment. And I'm really happy for that reason to have Eve in my lineup of laureates. And it was great having you here, and we keep on marching. That's all we can do.
And I would say if everyone out there in the world would come up with one idea, one solution to some very specific little problem, collaboratively, we will change the world eventually to make it better and best for everyone.
Those were wonderful last words. Thank you, Eve, for your time. Thank you for being with us. So, as you've heard today, the future of technology isn't just about innovation, it's about responsibility. It's about creating digital experiences that are inclusive, sustainable, and meaningful for everyone. We need to collaborate, we need to work together, and the choices we make today will shape the opportunities of tomorrow. So, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on this journey. And to be honest, I'm looking forward to explore more of what lies ahead in the next episodes of Today and Tomorrow. I'm looking forward to see what Evenness will do in the next few years. And with this, dear listeners and viewers, thank you for joining us. This was Today and Tomorrow for this episode. We hoped you liked it. If you liked it, please follow us, share it, subscribe to it. With these words, I say again, thank you, Eve. And the last words, as always, go to Dieter from my side. Thanks and bye bye.
And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Eve. And it was a great episode, and we're looking forward for into the future.
I'm there with you. Bye.